We're almost single-digit days away from kickoff for your Texas Tech Red Raiders, and I don't know about you, but I'm excited as hell for the 2024 season. And in today's video, we are going to discuss the top 5 position groups for Texas Tech going into 2024. No, not the ones you need to know about, but what are the absolute best position groups for Joey McGuire's crew in 2024. We'll discuss that as well as the latest news in today's video. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. And listen, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell, and come be a part of the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube today, doubling other accounts and then some. So join the crew and be in the know on all things Texas Tech football or men's basketball all year long right here on the most engaging and largest independently owned Texas Tech YouTube channel in the Back to 12 podcast channel. And oh, by the way, Lyle Leong Jr., oh yeah, he's back this week, ladies and gentlemen. He is back on Thursday recording an episode with me. I know you probably want somebody else recording it with him, but here we are. Let's jump right into the top 5 position groups in 2024. That is a lie. Backtrack. Sorry, that's on me. No editing here. We're jumping right into it. Self-deprecating humor. There is some news on the schedule front for the Red Raiders, and no, it doesn't impact the 2024-2025 season, but instead the 2026 season. They announced some of their non-con schedule games did Texas Tech football, and in 2026, Texas Tech will play Sam Houston State at home on September 26th and pay the Bearkats $1 million. Now, they weren't done with the 2026 schedule there. The Red Raiders will play Kent State as well on September 6th, paying them $1.5 million. And then those 2 games will take over the Colorado State game that they canceled for the 2026 season. They also announced one for the 2029 season. So we've got some 8th graders, 7th graders potentially interested in that game, as the Red Raiders will face off against Incarnate Word out in the 806 in 2029. Now, for real this time, let's jump into my top 5 position groups in 2024 for Texas Tech. And now let's lay the groundwork first and foremost here. This is based on a couple of criteria for me. First and foremost, what is the ceiling of this group? Okay. What is their absolute ceiling in the sense of, can they potentially win you a football game? Okay. By taking someone out of the game or just being that guy to win you a game. Okay. So there's that. And then also, what does the entirety of the group look like? Okay. Are there proven guys in it? Are there high impact guys in terms of their pedigree from the high school ranks? Is there any kind of depth involved there? Those are my criteria. Okay. And I'm going to get it right out of the way first, because I'll name the honorable mention, and some of y'all might get mad at this. I have the running backs as an honorable mention. I do not have the running back position in the top 5 because, face it, outside of Taj Brooks, do we know anything about the running back group at Texas Tech? I think the answer is no. I don't think we do know anything. Do I think Cam Dickey is going to be good? I do, but he's a true freshman. Cameron Valdez is a junior and really hasn't done too much in his time out in the 806. And past that, I don't know what to expect, okay? So Taj Brooks, because he's involved in the group, gets an honorable mention, do the RBs, but outside of him, I'm not sure what to expect from that group in 2024. All right, let's jump into it. At number 5, I have the defensive line, and the reason being is this. This has been one of the most talked about and widely discussed position groups, not only by Joey McGuire, but by Tim DeRuyter and other defensive coaches on the Texas Tech staff, okay? They have 6 or 7 guys on the D-line that, no, they don't reach Jalen Hutchings level or Tony Bradford level of impact, right? But they have 6 or 7 guys that you can rotate in and play different types of, schemes. And that's something that Tim DeRuyter loves to do. He's a chess master, right? That's what he loves to do with these guys. So when it comes down to it, this does not include the edge position, okay? This is strictly interior defensive line. So guys like Duda Banks. You've also got, obviously, Quincy Ledet Jr., the guy that's probably been most discussed in terms of any defensive player on Texas Tech. and that's Jaden Cofield. You've also got James Hansen, who transferred in from Nevada, DeBraylon Carroll, who transferred in from Rice, and then you've got Trayvon McAlpine. There's a couple others in there as well, but the defensive line is in a good spot in terms of you can rotate guys in and really make an impact there. Now, do they have the ceiling of a guy like Jalen Hutchings or Tony Bradford? I don't know. Jaden Cofield probably has the closest one to it, but he's vastly unproven. But that said, the depth in that room, you cannot, not discuss it, in my opinion. And that's why they come in at number 5. All right. Next up, at number 4 is the tight end position. And this is a position group on the Texas Tech roster that has, in my estimation, more pro potential than any one position group on this Texas Tech roster. And that being said, you think about it, Jalen Conyers was arguably the best tight end available in this past portal cycle. You've got a guy in Mason Tharp that when he's healthy, key word there is when, he's an impact guy. Then you bring in a guy in John Carlos Miller III that led his level at Elon in Yak, okay? So you've got 3 guys there that can be dynamic playmakers in their own respective way for the Red Raiders. And that's something that I know a lot of people are complaining about in the sense of, oh, they have these great tight ends. Are they actually going to use them? Yes. They're going to use them this year. Last year, they couldn't use them because of injuries and then the offensive line just simply being abysmal. The offensive line won't be abysmal in 2024. They'll be much closer to average. And the difference between abysmal and close to average is night and day in college football. So you're going to see Jalen Conyers make an impact. You're going to see Mason Tharp make an impact. And then you're going to see a player or two, maybe even more than that, with John Carlos Miller III making an impact as well. I'm very excited to see them play. And Jalen Conyers isn't just going to be a pass catcher either, people. He's going to be involved in the Wildcat for the Red Raiders. That Zach Kittley has mentioned, Joey McGuire has mentioned, and other offensive coaches as well. So he could be a chess piece on the offensive side for Zach Kittley, much like Tim DeRuyter uses some of those defensive players for his side. All right, before we get into the top 3 position groups for Texas Tech in 2024, I've got to tell you about today's video sponsor. Of course, it's Home Field Apparel. Head on over to homefieldapparel.com and save 15% off your new favorite Texas Tech vintage t-shirt. I mean, my goodness, look how sexy that red hoodie is. I mean, my goodness. That might be my favorite red hoodie right there. You've got the long sleeve 1976 Texas Tech football shirt. Then you've got Will Rogers right there. You've got the Texas Tech socks. They've got hats for you and so much more. Save 15% off of your new favorite Texas Tech apparel when you use the promo code BACK212. Again, save 15% off your entire purchase, not just one item, your entire purchase when you use the promo code BACK212 over on homefieldapparel.com. All right. Let's jump into the top 3, and we will stay on the offensive side of the football, and it will be the wide receivers. What a difference a year makes, right? You think about last year, and maybe you were listening to Lyle and I, mostly Lyle, because what better resource in the Texas Tech space when it comes to offense than Lyle Leong Jr., the guy that is second all-time behind the guy that has a, Soulja Boy remix named after him, and Michael Crabtree. You look at the wide receiver group last year for Texas Tech, and I could argue it was the worst group that Texas Tech had on either side of the football. I could make that argument. In 2024, that is not the case. You went out, if you are Joey McGuire and crew, and added 2 impact wide receivers via the portal. Obviously, Josh Kelly, Washington State, Caleb Payday, don't forget the Payday Douglas there, from Florida. 2 guys that were starting at Power 5 programs, one in the SEC, one in the Pac-12 RIP. But then you add a guy in 5-star wide receiver, Micah Hudson. Obviously, he is arguably the guy that everyone wants to see play in the scarlet and black, and he will be a true impact guy as a true freshman. So you have now, if you're Texas Tech, really 5, 6 wide receivers you think can make different kinds of plays on the field for you, but plays nonetheless. Last year, who did you feel could make a play for you? Coy Aiken, right? Like maybe Dre McCray, but that was few and far between. Now you have 5 or 6 guys, and I'm including Coy Aiken and Dre McCray in this because I think they're going to be properly utilized in this revamped offense for Texas Tech because, again, you have a healthy quarterback. The offensive line will be, if anything, a little bit better, and that's a big deal for Texas Tech, right? So you think about that, but it's also going to allow guys like Coy Aiken and Dre McCray to be better because there's bigger pieces involved in that wide receiver room around them. So they'll have more spacing. They'll be able to run their routes that they're good at with Josh Kelly on the opposite side, Caleb Payday Douglas, Micah Hudson, and we already talked about the tight ends as well. So I think the wide receivers will be very impactful in 2024 because I could make the case this is the most overhauled unit on the Red Raiders team going into 2024. All right, the top 2 will be on defense. Number 1 may surprise you. If you stuck around this far, I really appreciate it. Be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button. Much like the wide receivers, what a difference a year can make, right? So at number 2, we have the linebackers. Because last year at this time, before week 1, we were questioning what the hell is Texas Tech going to do with the linebacker spot? That is not the case anymore. I could actually make the argument now going into 2024 that the Red Raiders have the best linebacking duo in the Big 12. It's a debate, but I could make the argument there. You got Jacob Rodriguez, Ben Roberts, and I haven't even mentioned a guy like Bryce Ramirez, the fan favorite. Then you've got Justin Horn, Malik Dingle. You have guys that have certain skill sets, but the most important part of this in terms of your linebacking room, if you're Texas Tech, you have 3 legitimate guys that have valuable experience there in Roberts, Rodriguez, and Ramirez, Triple R. I don't know if they trademarked that, but they 100% should. Dibs, by the way. Anyway, this is a proven group that can go out there and make sideline-to-sideline plays, and they aren't afraid to, go and get dirty in the run game either, okay? That's big for a Tim DeRuyter defense, and I'm very, very interested to see what Ben Roberts alongside Jacob Rodriguez will look like for a full season because I think it could feed families. I think it could be that good for the Texas Tech defense. Now, speaking of Texas Tech defense, the number 1 position group, in my opinion, for Texas Tech going into 2024, and again, this may be a hot take, but I feel very strongly about it. It's the secondary. And hear me out. Before you click out of this video saying RC's a lunatic or whatever, hear me out. I understand replacing Rabbit is difficult. I do. Okay, that is one of the hardest positions to replace is that star position in a Tim DeRuyter defense. I get it. But the current projected starting secondary for Texas Tech is as followed. Mo Horn at DB, CJ Baskerville at strong safety, Chapman Lewis at free safety. Then you move to star AJ McCarty, the Baylor transfer. Sounds like he's got the inside edge there on Brendan Jordan. And then you've got Braylon Lux. I mentioned Brendan Jordan, right? But that's your 5 starters, including him, that's 6. I did not mention Jordan Sanford. I did not mention Jalen Peoples. I did not mention Wilcox. I did not mention Pilot. I did not mention Stevenson. There's 11 guys in that secondary that, albeit they're not proven in a high capacity, I get that. Think about their pedigree, okay? We're talking about 4 4-star recruits there that are either sophomores or redshirt freshmen. Okay, you've got guys in the secondary there, and Mo Horn that is an absolute freak of nature. You've got CJ Baskerville, proven. You've got Braylon Lux, proven. You've got Chapman Lewis, who is arguably up there with Jaden Cofield and the most discussed position player on the defensive side of the football for the Red Raiders, both in spring and fall camp. And then you've got AJ McCarty. Okay, you have legit 10, 11 guys in that secondary that you feel more than comfortable with playing. And there's a couple of others that I feel better about, but those 10 and 11 for sure. I haven't even mentioned a guy like Devin Cromwell yet, right? Who this staff is exponentially high on. Do I think they're going to be perfect? No, but I do think when you look at the depth on this team in terms of the secondary, this could arguably be the best secondary unit Texas Tech has had in a decade. That's not trying to be dramatic. That's not trying to, have a hot take. Just go look at it. This is the deepest it's been, and you're slowly starting to see some of those Joey McGuire and crew recruits make an impact on the 2 deep, and the secondary is where they have impacted that the most so far. All right, that's going to do it for, today's video. Texas Tech's 5 best position groups going into 2024. Let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comments. We ran a little long here, about a 15-minute video. I'm sure my wife is annoyed at me speaking right now, but I hope you're not. And if you want more Texas Tech football info all year long, all you got to do is 3 things for me. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to join the largest group of Texas Tech fans here on YouTube in the Back to 12 podcast channel.